Hey guys, so CGC put out a video of how they pre-screen, like 9/8 pre-screen, a bunch of books. And I thought it was really interesting, not only for a learning thing for you guys, but something that I thought was massive that they didn't do. And it really made me question everything. We always are questioning everything. But I wanted to kind of break down the video a little bit. I chopped it up to specific sections and we'll talk about a couple things. And at the end, I'll bring up a really huge point that I can't believe wasn't even brought up in this video, which it kind of confirms some thoughts that I had before. So let's get right to the video.
Now, there are times where we get bulk submissions sent to CGC, either directly from the publisher or the printer themselves. Now that we have the books safely removed,
he received a giant box of 160 from the distributor or from the printer, and he's pulled them all out and he's stacked them
from the inside packaging. I'm prepping them by putting them into piles. You'll notice a backboard underneath here so they can safely be moved across the table. And one of the first things that I'm going to be looking for is, with them all lined up in the same direction, I'm going to be looking at the spine corners. Looking for that color breaking spot. As you can see, as you move your eye up and down along all the corners here, you can see the ones that do break color with the white showing versus the ones that do not and have the solid sharp corner of a spine edge that we're looking for books that might grade out higher above a 9/8.
So I think it's interesting how they stacked it so they can look all the way down the corners and see which ones are worse, or down the spines. But I think that they stacked it, it's a little heavy. So when you're picking it up, right, you have to literally like grab underneath to pick it up, unless you slide it off the table every time, which could cause damage. Not a big deal, but I think that's an interesting process how they do it when there's a mass quantity of the same books, so they can go down the spine and look. Okay.
Ones that don't have color breaking marks on the top and bottom spines. And then this pile right here would be that one pile. And then these piles over here would be the ones that show a little bit of white, and those would knock it out of the 9/9, 10/0 range, but not necessarily the 9/8 range. So once I have these narrowed down, I will save the higher grade ones for after, once we establish manufacturing defects and any other.
So real quick, he split what he thought were 9/9s and 10s, a small stack. Now he's going through everything else that he considers 9/8s.
Consistencies as far as defects that go along with all the books on this particular print run. As I'm going through these stacks, what I'm looking for is sharp corners and a tight spine. Now in this particular book, all of these books are made beautifully. They're on a nice heavy cardstock cover, and they hold up really well in shipping. So what I'm looking at here is a straight spine, zero defects on it. And then you look at the corners here, the corners up here by the Boom logo, and then the bottom, very nice and sharp. So my eye is going around all four corners.
So this is how you guys should pre-screen your books. Just letting you know.
No surface wear whatsoever. The only spot that I can see is that tiny little spine right there. We have a little bit of white showing, but not necessarily a book that cannot still achieve a 9/9. The other books in the stack showed a little bit of white on the top spine here. Looks like it bumped around in the box on the top edge. So we got the top spine here and then the top right edge. You can see a little bit of white showing through. This is pretty minimal, something that would still be attainable in a 9/8 range, depending on the rest of the book. We'll flip it over and see if those impact crunches do affect on the back cover as well. And as you can see, this top corner goes through the entire book. So this would be going into the reject pile as well with the other one. This would take it out of the 9/8 range and put it in a 9/6. All right, so now I'm going to focus on the back covers and look across the surface and roll my eye across the light and look at the surface for any type of scuffs, indents, bends, creases. And when you're looking at the same book, it is a little easier. You can go a lot faster.
This part really bothers me. There's a lot in his hand, first of all. So he's definitely got his hand on some of the books, on the edge, how he's wrapped it. He's got his hand on him. He could damage it possibly. But what really bothers me here is the speed in which he's looking at the books. It's not even a second per book to see if there's anything on the back. I'm telling you right now, even the best of us can miss stuff that fast. And if he just took another 2 seconds per book, then he would probably spot more. But he's moving pretty quick here.
Because you're looking at the same thing over and over and over again. So it does become a little repetitious, but it makes it easier. And my eye just goes in a circle and go around the book. Now, if you notice too, as I've been doing these, I've been bracing all these piles with a board. It's one of the safety things that the less we handle the books, the better, and it's safer on the spine edges, especially books like this where it's a cover. The cover stock is a little harder and glossier than others, so the spine stress will show up and it looks pretty bad. And we don't want to be the ones that damage the books, so we want to make sure that the books are always in the best possible condition. And
okay, right there. When he says we don't want to be the ones that damage the books, he's probably got 40 books in his hand, and he's lifted it up and used the table to get it all organized, which could easily damage a corner on one book or another corner on another book. So they don't want to be the ones that are damaging your books, but in this particular case, he could be damaging the books with that much weight, stacking them like some playing cards or something before you shuffle the deck. This is why the stack is too many books in one stack, especially when you want to organize them, get them all straight. Using a table or some other surface to straighten it to me is ridiculous.
as you can see, these boards that I have on these books on top of are really sturdy. These are those thicker backboards that you can buy at comic shops. I like to use these as kind of placeholders to go underneath and balance the books out. Once I get all the 9/8, what I like to do is I like to safely stack these, and I do that by staggering them in counts of 10.
Now I agree. When I'm doing stuff here at the house for the store, I will stagger it 10 by 10, like he's saying. I just always done that. I mean, if you're insane, you do one and one and one and one and one and one and one. But 10 and 10 is good. But usually at that point, I'm bagging and boarding them 10, 10, 10. But I would advise that. I just think his stacks are way too high. At least his stacks are way too high at CGC, a grading company.
Front to back. So as you notice, this pile is a lot cleaner and a lot safer than the one to its side, so they don't tip over and fall. So I stagger them 10 by 10, which makes it easier at the end of the day too for me to count how many. As I can just count based on the side showing. What we're gonna do about these is we're gonna go over these a little more of a fine-tooth comb than we did the other ones, because we know that these could possibly be higher contenders. So we need to look and make sure and scrutinize these books and make sure every single corner is sharp. There's no surface discrepancies, there's no nothing.
Okay, so this is the potential 9, 9, 10 stack. And what he's saying is he's going to look them over better. I think, honestly, this is the speed that you should be looking at every book. Maybe another second. But he's really scrutinizing on these books. They should be scrutinizing on every single book. I know if they see something quickly, they can move it off to the side. But when he was checking the backs of those books recently, that fast, you're not going to see it. But now, he's really looking at it, and he's going to find more damage.
And as I go through these, I will do the same thing I did before by separating a pile based on what I see. As I was going through this stack and using the light to my advantage, what I'm looking for are divots or shadows caused by bends, creases, indents, crunches. Now I'll show you these three right here I took out of that pile. As I was going through them, I noticed some defects here on the back cover.
That was his potential 9, 9, 10 stack, and now he's found more defects that put it in the 9, 8 category for sure, maybe even 9, 6, I don't know. But the point is, what about those other books? They could have missed a lot more things. I'm not trying to harp on it too much, but I think it's interesting. So stay with me.
On these books, you can see the slight little dark shadows, these two on the bottom, particularly on the spine. These are slight little impacts, which won't take it out of 9/8, but unfortunately won't.
That bottom one is not a 9/8. You could see, okay, I understand the little white fuzz corner issue, tear, whatever, can be a 9/8, but you can see how it's lifted, and there's actually damage on the back of the cover. A little bit of fold too. I mean, it's definitely, it's at least a 9/6 or 9/4, But I mean, he missed that, and it was in his 9.9 pile.
Put it in the 9.9 or 10.0 category. And then this book on top here has a slight impact crunch on the top edge of the book.
Now he's talking about the impact crunch, but there's also a cut right where the arrow's pointing. And the thing is, when you're going that fast on the recent one where I said he should slow it down, he could have missed a million of those. He really could have.
Book itself. You can see in the light it casts a slight shadow on the gloss of the book.
That being said, I mean, he is catching it. He is catching it and getting it out of the 9.9 area.
Now that I have all of the 9.9 and higher contenders pulled out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back again to this pile and scrutinize this and look for the sharpest corners and the parts of the spine, the top and bottom spine, where there's no color breakage, no color loss anywhere, no bends, no spine stress, if there's one that does exist. If there is one, then we possibly could have a 10.0. Well, I think we got one. Start with the 9/8 in particular, and if you look, what we have here are not only white showing where there's wear on the spine corners, but there's also...
Okay, I just want to point something out to all you people that, you know, I pre-screen all my books here. I only guarantee 9.4 or better raw, right? Most of my books are better than that. And these are what they consider 9/8. So if I ever get a message or something somewhat unboxing, there's some white fuzz on the corner, it's not a 9/8. I refer you back to this video, and also to realize that I only guarantee 9.4. I just think it's very interesting that the bindery tears and the white things, you realize they're still a 9.8. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when I'm grading and I'm sending it off to CGC, those don't even exist. I don't send that type of book off to CGC to get a 9.8 because I'm a psychopath, and I figured there can't be any flaw like that on there. Maybe one corner, but not two. Okay, so I just want to point out these are 9.8s, CGC standard. Okay, so when you get books from me, just remember. You're getting 9/8 or 9/9s, okay? Well, maybe not 9/9s, but you could get lucky.
So bindery tears, which is a very common production flaw with books, and it's still acceptable in the 9.8 grade. And as we go to the 9.9 pile, you will notice fewer bindery tears and less white showing and more color on...
Okay, so these are the 9.9s, okay? So I'm looking right now. I see one, the second one, the third one, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the 10th, maybe the bottom one. They all have the white. Those aren't 9.9s, okay? Not in my world. Those aren't 9.9s. Those are 9.8s. Okay? There are a couple 9.9s in there, possibly. I also want to point out one other thing that he didn't point out. Look at the staples. Some of the, like the second one, okay? The second one has the white on the corner, which would automatically not give it a 9.9 in my, down the spine. But the staple itself is clean. The tear by the top of the staple is pretty clean. But look at all the rest of the staples. There's more tear on there. He doesn't really discuss that, and I know that more of a tear can equal not a 9.9, you know, depending. Keep in mind, these are really nice books. These Mighty Morphins, the paper quality is better than most. Anyway, I wanted to point out all the white on there, and that those are considered 9.9s. Okay.
These spine corners. And if we transition once again down to the 10.0, you'll notice that there is none of that.
Okay, this was shocking. The 10.0 has some white color on the corner. I mean, it's literally coming off. It's coming down. The little white. Right? Am I being a psycho about this? There is white corner. Maybe if it was only that one and the other one was clean, 9.9. But a 10? Just saying.
Essentially, I went through 400 total from the printer, and out of those 400, I pulled over 309/8.
So he's done with this pre-screening, and what he said before this part is he pre-screened the grades and he sent it off to get labeled, slabbed at those grades. He's also about to say out of 400, 75% were 9/8. What's that? 79 nines out of 400? That's close to a quarter. And 7 10s. So in total, that's 377 out of 400 that got 9/8 or above. 79 nines is ridiculous. That's crazy. Out of 400. Let me tell you something. As doing exclusives and getting boxes shipped to me in out of 500, right? And some of them have the protective shipment. Dude, I get more damages than 23. There was 23 non-9/8s in that 400. That's insane. That is not a lot of damage. I'm telling you, it's not like that. Most of the time, there's more damages than that. I think, personally. The other stores that are watching that have done exclusives, you might know what I'm talking about. But out of 400, he got almost a quarter, less than a quarter, 9/9s. This is absolutely crazy. Now I'm going to make my biggest point here at the end.
79 9s and only 7 10.0s. Now, as you can see with the 9/8s, the top and bottom spine are a little rounded, show a little bit of white and a little bit of wear.
About your corners.
Sometimes along the spine edge, you can also notice some color flecking, where there'll be bits of the ink that will not be showing, and there'll be the white where the absence of ink is. The 9/9s, on the other hand, you'll notice very minor color showing, and the corners will always be sharp. If you look up and down along the spine edge, it's fully in color. There's no color breaks, no spine stress, none of it. In a 10.0, you'll notice every corner is sharp, the top and bottom spine is perfect, comes to a point with zero color break.
That's not the same 10 we saw before, okay? So there were 6 others that got graded 10. That one looks really sharp. I mean, don't get me wrong, that one could be a 10, okay? Because that corner is not the same corner as the one we saw. But here is the big problem with this video that I thought was crazy to me. Nowhere in this video did they open the book. They did not look inside. Now, if many of you know, if you open it up to the center of a book, sometimes staples can be loose, pages can be loose inside, and you won't know until you open it. The staple could be all messed up. There could be holes. There could be tears. The book could be missing pages. The book could have extra pages, possibly an extra cover, double cover. There are so many things internally that need to be graded as well to even meet, I thought, a 9/8. I know a lot of us don't open up our books, that, you know, those who don't read and are just collecting to get graded, you don't open it up. But I was almost 100% sure that they were supposed to open up the book, where they could be missing a million flaws. That was surprising to me. Or the fact that it could, again, have double pages, there could be missing pages. Those are production errors, which, since this came from the distributor, that could be a plus for someone getting a double cover or missing pages or additional pages or something like that as a printing error and still get a high grade. That's a bonus in regard to printing errors. But no, they didn't look inside at all. And he said he took it from the box out, graded them based on the front and back, spine, everything, then sent it off to get the grade that he pre-screened it at. Never once, not once, did he open the book. So now you know they don't open the books, at least new books. They don't open it. So the grade really isn't true unless they grade the book. So that's what I got from this video. There are positives here and negatives. For those who didn't know how to grade a book, you probably could learn something. But remember, there are all types of qualifications, and who knows? Every one of those 400 could have had a tear inside that no one saw, or a staple that was loose and open and the other one was closed. Right? You never know. You'll never know either, because they're slabbed. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and we'll see you later.